So what is going to be the response? Now, so far, I have not seen the response that I'd like to see. I see people talking about it, but I don't see it happening. And I will tell you, this will quickly turn into a massive L for Trump if he doesn't do what needs to be done. And what do I mean by that? It's very simple. It's very simple. Defy the courts. What do I mean? Ignore them. Ignore them. Just do it anyway. Whatever you were planning on doing, because he's being blocked on this. There's some really nice guys in the comments here on YouTube. Hi, you're crazy leftist calling everyone the 1930s N-word. Okay. Thanks for joining us. All right, but there's already been one of these in the. I'm going to skip that. All right, I'm not even going to watch the comments because I don't really care. You can comment though. There's already been one of these blocks in the courts on this. Now, Trump has also been blocked from another federal court on the issue of firing employees. So the USAID employees, like 2,000 of them, that has been blocked. The idea of just putting them on leave, blocked. So the court is deciding who the president can fire in his own department that he runs. Okay. That doesn't make any sense. That's not constitutional, but that's what's happening. The courts are blocking the Trump administration from deporting people. The courts are blocking the administration from. There's another decision where they're blocking DOJ, and the Treasury Secretary from access to the data that they need to run their department. The Treasury Secretary not having the access to the information in his own system. And so basically we're in a situation where the people who are under the Treasury Secretary who work in his department, just average, office workers in the government, but in the Department of the Treasury, have more access to data than the Secretary of the Treasury himself or the president's appointed officials. This is crazy, but this is what the courts will do until they're stopped. They have to be defied. You have to ignore them. So this is what happened in the first Trump administration. You're in a situation where the president comes into power with a massive mandate, won the popular vote, landslide electorally, comes in. He's running 3 branches of government. The Republicans, are in charge of 3 branches they're in charge of everything. The courts, the Supreme Court at least, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So we've got all 3 branches of government on the side of the Republicans. And yet we haven't heard a word from Congress doing anything. Congress they're not planning on doing pretty much anything that Trump is wanting to get done. None of it. Name me a red state that is going and doing the things that Trump is doing. That's starting their own DOJ programs and cutting all this spending, and they're not doing it either. Barely. There's a couple small examples, but a lot of them are fighting that, and we'll get to that in a second too. So what does Trump have to do? So Trump instead has to do all this stuff through executive order, which are temporary, but it's all he can do, right? So he goes in, he does these executive orders. We get 2 weeks of just boom, 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 executive order, one after another, win, win, win. We're getting tired of winning, so many of them. But then the courts come in and the courts block him. So if something doesn't happen where we can overcome courts blocking them, or if Congress doesn't do something, then none of these things that Trump is trying to get done will actually matter. None of it's actually going to get done. Nothing's going to happen. these things will get stopped. Trump will be frustrated, and it'll be, oh, well, he tried. That's not good enough. What needs to happen is the courts need to be defied. Our system was designed, and let me explain this briefly if you did not know this. Our system, our constitutional system, was designed so that the judges can be ignored, even the Supreme Court. You don't believe me? Think about this for a second, and you really need to go read the Federalist Papers if you've never heard of this. What is the enforcement mechanism that a judge has on their court decisions? They don't have one. They do not have their own police force. They don't write laws. They don't execute the laws. They don't enforce them. They can't. All they can do is make a decision and say this is right or this is wrong. But they rely on the states and the federal government, the presidency, the executive branch, to actually go and enforce those decisions. If the states say, I think your decision's nonsense, I'm going to ignore it and I'm not going to enforce it, they can be ignored. And the system was designed that way because otherwise they are the most powerful branch. They were on purpose designed to be the least powerful branch. Why? Why are they the least powerful? Because they're not elected. Most of these federal judges are just appointed. And then on top of that, they're there for life. It is the least democratic part of our republic. And so it has to be the weakest part on purpose. That's how our system was designed. They can be ignored. Now, you don't want to ignore them all the time. There should be legitimacy to the court, but it's their own fault if they've gotten so far that they're just ruling hey, president can't sneeze. He can't walk into the White House today because I feel like it. I mean, I'm making things up, but you get the idea. If they get so ridiculous, they have to be ignored. And if Trump does not ignore them, that's his own then he's allowing his presidency to be ruined. Now, I have hope that this time he's a second-term president. He's got nothing to lose. It seems like he's going full blown. I have hope that he is going to do the right thing and defy these judges. He'll probably go through the Supreme Court first because he likes to go through the process. He's not crazy like these leftists make him out to be. He'll go through the process. He'll go through the Supreme Court, but Supreme Court's not perfect. John Roberts is a rhino. I mean, they might on some of these cases, but they may not even hear the case. So he has to defy the courts. And by the way, the states need to do the same thing. Defy the courts. You want to know a really ugly secret? Roe versus Wade was a Supreme Court decision. It was not a law. They just decided it out of nowhere. And it happened how many years ago? 70 years ago, 60, 70 years ago. The states could have been ignoring it for decades. Red states could have said no and then just ban abortion. They could have done it. They could have saved millions of lives if they simply had the bravery to do so. But they chose not to. You think I'm just making this up? Go look up Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was told, the details of the court case doesn't matter, but a court decided a case on him. Supreme Court decided a case, or a judge decided a case, and his response was, okay, he's made his decision on that case. Now let him enforce it. Go look it up. Let him enforce it. And his comment was saying he doesn't have a way to enforce it. I can ignore him. That is the idea. The states could ignore SCOTUS. They could ignore these federal courts, and Trump could ignore these courts. I'm not making this up. We're only doing this because we're being polite. That's all. Literally, it's being polite and not wanting to rock the system that has led to the death of tens of millions of aborted children. You don't want to hear it? It's the truth. I'm telling you right now. It needs to stop. All right.